It Happened on the Job, the podcast for relatable conversations with contractors. Sponsored by Goodman Insurance.
Welcome to It Happened on the Job. We are your podcast for relatable and relevant conversations with contractors, hopefully bringing a little entertainment to you as well. Today's episode 67. My name is Mike. That's Brian.
Hello, hello. Today we got Jason Coleman, president of Golden Construction. How you doing, Jason?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, super cool. I mean, now it's becoming more regular. I feel like we started the show, March, somewhere in there, and then COVID hit pretty quick after that, and then it was a lot of Zoom calls. And lately we've been having people come in, which is pretty cool. But yeah, thank you for coming in and making the trek down from HB, I think, right? Huntington, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep. Kind of born and raised there, and it's not too bad of a drive up here.
Yeah.
Nice day.
Yeah, especially right now with a little bit lighter traffic, hopefully.
Maybe, yeah.
I'd say that's been one of the positives
picking up a little bit,
for contractors through all this stuff is how much better the traffic has been. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, Jason, open up. Tell us a little bit about your business, how you got started in the business. I saw that your father was involved in some form of fashion, but yeah, talk about the history of that and how you got started.
Yeah, absolutely. So my dad started the business 30 years ago, 1990. Decided to leave his current employer at that time and didn't really know what to do. And he was like, well, I don't want to go to work for anybody. I might as well work for myself. So he started that out of our home. And, I grew up, we had a home office for as long as I can remember as a kid. And then one day I just kind of fell into it and said, hey, I guess maybe I'll help you with this thing.
Was that during high school, out of high school, college?
Yeah. So in high school, I was actually working for an off-road race team. I was big into racing, still am. And senior year high school, it was like he needed some help on some jobs, and I guess I needed to get a real career or whatever. So it just kind of started and then just never went back to anything else. And one thing led to another. I mean, we were a really small company at that time, and it was just him, I think, an assistant and one or two guys in the field. And we've always done medical healthcare stuff, and so he
TI work. At
that time, it was TI. He was doing a few ground ups here and there. We'd do design build stuff. And like I said, real small, kind of 1 million, maybe 2 million if it was a crazy good year. And then I came in and started in the field, and I laugh at the stuff that I was sent on. I'm like, what were you thinking sending me? I didn't know anything. I had no trade background, right? Like a lot of guys, that start companies had trade backgrounds, and I didn't. So just one thing led to another, and then here we are 30 years later with probably almost 20 people and working in 3 different states, and so it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. Have you guys stuck to kind of the medical stuff, or?
Yeah, our focus in primary care is healthcare stuff. That's what we're good at. Really big in the dialysis world, in surgery centers and the likes of that stuff, urgent care. So it's
like the smaller outpatient kind of stuff, not.
Yeah, outpatient. We've done some hospital work, but I wouldn't say we avoided it. It's a lot. Everything is so much about having the right team.
Right.
And I'd say that just takes a little bit different team, I think, to approach.
Hospitals are different,
Yeah, a little bit different animal. So we do a lot of outpatient type work, but we have 2 sides of our business. It's new construction, which is pretty much what I oversee, anything ground up, TIs. And then we have a full renovation that works nights, weekends, nonstop. So we're almost a 24/7 operation.
Wow.
When you put them all together.
Yeah. When you started and your dad pulled you in, I'm assuming he pulled you. I feel like that's a lot of the stories we hear is like dad grabbed me and child labor laws and all these different things. So, but when you first started working with him, were you guys doing the medical side and dialysis and all that, or was it more just commercial? Or
yeah, no, and we've pretty much always been commercial, but always healthcare. He did some dialysis work before he came to do his own deal. My uncle was actually a big dialysis developer, and so that's kind of where he had learned a few of the things. And he tried to go the residential route when he first started, and quickly learned that was a bad idea. Yeah. And God bless you if you work for the residential side. Like this is not for us.
Yeah.
And
doing a lot of chasing around at that point.
It's just a different animal. So he tried that for a little while, then went back to the commercial stuff. Did kind of some property management work and things like that, and then I think out of the blue, someone called and kind of got sucked back in. Like I said, one thing led to another, and then now we work for a lot of the big multi-billion-dollar type national
Are you guys
companies.
involved? I know you mentioned it a little bit, but are you guys involved in the whole, like, from your ground up stuff, design, build process? Like, from the beginning?
It depends. So like we are now doing some development stuff. So we're, helping with the entitlements and the whole thing through all the design. We do some upfront design work, budgeting, things like that. It just depends on what the customer needs, what the client.
Yeah.
Some of them have full real estate, full design teams, all that. And some of them bring us in even with those teams and we assist. Kind of more of a design assist type of thing. But if you called me tomorrow, we could do full design build, everything for you. So just depends. We kind of multifaceted. We're not afraid.
Full service though, right?
Try to be,
Just kind of go with the flow, whatever the client needs.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So you said you have like 20 employees now?
I think we're somewhere around 20, yeah.
20? How many of those are in the field? Are you guys self-performing a lot of that ground up work, or is that your field guys more with the service stuff?
On the service side, it's more of a self-perform. We have in-house plumbing, and then we do just a lot of miscellaneous stuff like that. New construction is pretty much 99.9% is all subbed out. There's those things you just kind of got to get in and do handiwork, but most of it is all subbed out. But like I said, we're in California, Nevada, and Hawaii right now.
Ooh, it's a good place to be.
It's not bad.
Don't want to be traveling there right now, though, right? Don't they stick you in a hotel for 14 days or something like that?
That's one thing we've been trying to figure out how to get around right now, and I think we just figured out.
Is that an essential worker thing, though? I feel like
it is. Yeah,
I know Texas is that way. If you could prove that you're essential, then you get around that.
And in fairness, I mean, this whole summer I've traveled 5 different states or whatever, and most everywhere else is pretty normal.
Yeah.
They're pretty concerned about it over there. I get it, smaller island, whatever. We've sent a superintendent back and forth a little bit, and it's been fine. But fortunately, my travel got paused, which it's I look forward to those meetings. They're nice.
Right. Yeah, no, it's nice.
But it's a lot of time to get back and forth over there. It's at least a day each way, and then a few site visits. It adds up to a few days pretty quick. So with everything else we have going on, it's a bit of a challenge to get over there. Yeah. But I like it. It's fun.
And my aunt has a house out there that she rents out, 90% of the year when she's not there. And she said that right now sucks because she's not able to get anybody to rent it or anything because nobody can go over there.
For 2-3 weeks at least. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been crazy and weird. And again, at first everything was really, really weird. And it's for the most part mellowed out. We didn't stop through any of this other than our renovation stuff is paused a little bit because they didn't want us in active facilities with patient intermix, which were off hours anyway. So it didn't, to me, make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But all of our new construction, we just kept trudging through. And I was like, I'm not going to lay people off. And I
have to imagine in new construction, I mean, the demand for healthcare facilities is probably skyrocketed, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the city permitting process and all that stuff, like they don't seem to see the difference. It's still a struggle. It was tough to get through that as it was, and then you had this on top of it, so it's like...
And now you got city employees working from home or only one inside the office.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, again... It's construction, so let's just throw another challenge in the mix. That's how it goes.
We talked to a guy a couple days ago or whatever. It was saying that working with permitting in cities, like they had one particular city would have a pile for a permit, so they put their forms in, and then it would have to quarantine for like a week or two.
So their plans would have to quarantine inside a box.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
It's just killing the process.
We're not going to touch those for a week because they have to quarantine before we even touch them.
Yeah, I think I have a project that's doing that right now, and it's just it's brutal. Like UV lighted or whatever you got to do.
Right. That's exactly what he's going. UV light.
So going back to when 30 years ago or whenever your dad was doing the business and you guys were starting, and now being to where you're at today, what was that a gradual increase in growth, or was there
what was the turning point of the precipice?
Sure.
And what were some of those growing pains, I guess, that came about?
For me, like what Golden Construction's like time stamp for me is 2008. And I was young and naive, and I know that's funny. It's not a good mark for some people. But for me, that was like when I got my first big TI for one of the big corporate companies. And I stepped up, and at the time, like I said, there was 3-4 of us or whatever. And it was $1 million plus job. And I go, there's no one else to run it. I'm going to go run it. I'm going to figure this out.
So were you in sales at that time and then turned into project management?
I don't even call it sales. I followed my dad around and just met all the people, and I would help estimate it, which I didn't know what I was doing with that either. So I collected numbers and somehow we got the job,
Looks
right?
like 1 million.
Yeah. So I went and superintendent. I did the project management. I did everything. So like I would start the job and it was out in San Bernardino, and I'd drive an hour or whatever, get it started in the morning, and then go to the office and work the afternoon. And I did that for quite a while, a couple of years. But 2008 was like that start. And like I think our goal was to do like 3 million. And we probably didn't even hit it. I don't remember. And just from there, then I got one, and then I got another, and then next thing. So then one year I was like, I really feel kind of silly, but I think I need an assistant. And then I got an assistant, and she's still with me today. She's great, and she helped me offload all that paperwork and that office stuff that I was doing that really helped me.
Bogging you down.
Yeah, and then we hired our superintendent, and one thing led to another, and I would say, I don't know. Now we're doing upwards of 20 million plus or minus. And, when a couple of years ago, we went from that 9 million to almost 20 million. And like, that was, whoa.
Yeah.
that was a heck of a jump.
Were you expecting that, or was that something that just kind of fell into place? Stars aligned, or?
Yeah, it was just one of those years where I sat back and just I put all my hobbies and everything aside, and I was like, hey, let's blow this thing up. And yeah, it just exploded.
So it was an intentional.
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, I was always been intentional to grow it. And, I don't know, that was one of those years too. You get, I think as any contractor, you get a few contracts that come through here and there. They're just kind of one-off 1 year things. Right. I know buddies that, oh yeah, we had this $20 million deal, just showed up out of nowhere. Like it wasn't really something, but you don't turn it down. Right. Right. So I had a couple of those projects that kind of trickled through. So it really helped kick that up. And now we're trying to sustain and maintain that. But that was an eye opener. The problems, you don't see it from 5 to 10 to 10 to 15 to 20, whatever. They're all different. So it's been an interesting ride. And then in the last couple of years, I decided to step out of the field and not run projects anymore and try to replace myself. So that's been new and different. And we've got some really good people in there helping us now. And so just been, it's always a
Were there some kind of going from the, like you said, 9 or 10 to 20 million a year? Were there some systems that you saw that were lacking that you kind of had to bring up to speed quickly, or like put into place, or some of those or I guess what were some of those things?
When you see extreme growth like we did, like I said, it was almost double in 1 year. That's when you see your systems fail, or lack of. Which is more for us was lack of, just because I didn't have anybody to turn it over to. Now that I have people, like we're really focused on systems, and when it was just me and my assistant, we just knew how we worked, and we'll just talk about things. But it was like, why would I write up a system just to tell myself how to do my job? Like I know how to do it. So it didn't make a lot of sense. Now
realizing that I would need this 6 months later when I'm doing double the work. Yeah, I need to bring people on.
Yeah, when you get way too busy, just checklists even. Like we did one job and it was like, who ordered the toilet? Like nobody ordered the toilet, and it's starting tomorrow. Like, but you don't think about that. You have so much going on when it's kind of all in your lap. And so we had started to develop all that stuff. And so I think the growth helps force that. Yeah. That, when you got one project at a time, super easy to kind of manage and control and keep that fire small. And then you get them going all over, and then you get them in the middle of the ocean and over like up.
Well, it's not even the projects, right? It's the people more than anything, right? I mean, you're not only are you managing one project that time, but you're only managing 3 or 4, what did you say, 5, 6 people, but now you've got multiple people to cover all these jobs, and now you're like the master of a 3-ring circus trying to figure out who's going where and doing what.
Yeah, no, I had, like I said, 2018 was, I think, our banner year. We doubled, and I was running 10 projects at 5 different superintendents through 2 states, and I was on a plane every week going to Vegas, and it was just like, it was too much, like it was fun, it was exciting, but I'm like, I can't do this forever, I'll burn out. And so now, like I said, dishing off some of that load is nice, and to people that you trust, and makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah. So on that, like, what's the hiring process look like for you? What are you guys looking for especially when you had to bring on that many people that quickly? What was that? What were you looking for, and what were you trying to find?
Yeah, it's really hard because we've hired a lot, and we've had some turnover, just because, like, for me, it's culture. Culture is so key for me. I used to hire some people and just be like, I just don't care, just do the job. That's all I care about. You just show up and do your job. I don't care if you have a crappy attitude. I care now. I really do. And I think I did then. I just was so desperate. Right. And now, like, it's really just throughout my team, we sit and we talk about it. I'm like, what do you think? Can we all work with this person? Like, because I want you to be as happy doing your job as just as I am. And if I'm not looking forward to showing up to work, then neither are you. And then I'm not going to get the best out of you, and you're not going to get the best out of me. So for me, culture, that fit is so key. And just happy attitudes, like, hey, construction goes wrong every day.
Literally.
Concrete doesn't show up. The guys don't show up. Whatever they, the subcontractor. I hate to bash on subcontractors, but that's general contractors get the brunt from the subs and vice versa. But they said they're going to show up and they're not, and so we just got to be able to roll with the punches and deal with it. And we just have to. We're problem solvers,
right?
And how do we fix what we have to deal with now and still hit our end up goal? So I need people that are just happy and can roll with it, and that's a huge part for me, as well as can you do the job, but. Making sure that you just jive and we can have fun. I really want this to be fun. We work so hard in everyday life that I want you to look forward to going to work. Yeah. And then I think that plays off in how well our projects turn out and our customers like us and so on and so forth.
So are you able to like train somebody that you're bringing on to kind of fit to what you're needing? If they fit the culture, you've got some sort of process that... Yeah,
and that's a constant work in progress.
The experience that you're looking for, but they fit the culture,
Absolutely, yeah. Biggest thing for me is passion. Like I said, I joke about not knowing what I was doing when I was young, but I was really passionate about business and growing, and I started learning and I started investing in myself to go to seminars and things. And that passion drove me to be successful in business. And I don't have a college degree. I didn't go to school. Like I kind of started, but I learned more in the field and learned more in other stuff than I was in school. And so for me, I chose that step back from that and just go at it and school hard knocks, so to speak. Right. So I say, if you got passion for what we're doing, I can kind of take you anywhere. I'll take that over, all the smarts, but no passion, right?
Yeah. Or the experience or anything else.
Right.
Yeah. Teach all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, so going back on the subs a little bit, what are some of the challenges you guys face in finding subs, hiring subs, working with subs, some of those?
Sure. Yeah, and that's something new for us because as we've expanded, like you said, going to a market like Hawaii, we're getting heavier into NorCal, which we weren't before. We did a lot of stuff here in SoCal, and just because of our national customers, they have a base where they go everywhere. So I don't get to just build all the neighborhood markets in my backyard. Like, we're...
It'd be nice, right?
Yeah, we're...
10-minute drive to work every day. And...
Right, we're Sacramento, and, can you go to Seattle? And I'm like, okay. So... I say we've always said we'll go wherever anybody wants us. They need us, we'll be there. So trying to develop systems for bidding just with subs, like it's hard because they all just bid what they think is right, and it's like, well, that's not what I want or what I need, and trying to create something that's a similar process all over. So we're trying to just build standards of like, hey, here's our basic bid standards that we want, and you get we dealt with this week. There, you get a bid from someone, and they're like, well, that's not what I bid. I'm like, well, you said drywall, like what? How should I assume that you didn't include this or that or whatever? Like that you got the screws. I don't know. Like, and then you get some that are really extensive and really in detail, and you can understand exactly what they got. So I think that's always just a constant battle. So trying to just really create some symmetry with all that is difficult because everyone sees it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you able to kind of find a few that you guys work well with that you continue to feed enough work to that they're around when you need them?
Yeah, and that's my goal. I want to build a great team within our company. So I want my subs to be a great team, and they're an extension of us too. So I want relationships. I don't like to turn and burn subs. Some guys might do that. You're going to get turned and burned if you just have a terrible attitude and you make it really difficult on us. Like, and maybe you don't do good work, right? But if I see potential, maybe we got to work through a little bit. Okay, here's how we do business, and vice versa. But you do great work. Maybe we can probably work through that. But a lot of our relationships, some of us are 20 plus years with some of our subcontractors, at least locally. And some will pull all over the place, and others they won't travel, so that's fine. But yeah, our goal is to really create relationships that we can count on them, and they get to know us, and we can build multiple projects together over time. So it's preferred, but not always easy when you're kind of venturing out into new.
Yeah,
markets.
I was gonna say that's got to be a challenge, especially when you're going out into new territories constantly.
Yeah, it's a bit of a roll of the dice. We try to do as much vetting as we can, and then you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, show up to the shops like hopefully they're there too.
Exactly.
So some of those ones that are a little further out from where we are now, how involved are your project management superintendents kind of on a daily basis with some of those projects that are a little further away?
Yeah, so our supers are constantly talking to our project managers or assistants or vice versa. And then we have software where I can pull up on my phone or my iPad or whatever and constantly see the photos they're taking all day long and see the daily logs. So we just, that's something we've newer rolled out, like try to just get more tech savvy, so to speak.
Right.
More real-time stuff, and they have all the documents, everything at their fingertips as well. So that's one thing we've moved to this year because of being so spread out. It used to be easier. Hey, you could run to the job site 20 minutes down the road and give them whatever they need, or vice versa.
Right.
Now that we're so stretched, it's like I have no idea, I have no control. But this software has helped that quite a bit, and that's kind of nice. But yeah, we try to just be really, really open with our communication.
So how far? I mean, like for instance, right now, how many jobs are you guys doing outside of California?
Right now we have a handful of them in Hawaii, and one major project going, and then a couple renovation stuff that's just waiting for a band so we can get back over there and finish up. Nothing in Nevada right at the moment, but actually we have some we're looking at. So mostly I'd say the majority is in California at the moment.
Yeah.
But there's always just different opportunities popping up here and there that are kind of.
And where do you guys see yourselves getting your work most often? Is it word of mouth? Are there things you guys are doing, working with developers or property
yeah, we
owners,
don't do a ton of marketing. You know, we joked about LinkedIn. I don't check my LinkedIn as much. I really wish I would put more effort to that.
But I'm a whole other assistant for that probably too.
Social media in general, right? Like, that's a job in itself, and
No
it's
doubt.
fun at times, but it's like, hey,
Well, it's one of those things where you can't just do it like once every other week. Like you got to be on it almost like daily or weekly,
right?
to
Yeah,
be
and
able
then
to get any traction.
pumping the content and stuff. So I've toyed with the idea of bringing someone in that really manages that, but I don't know, one day maybe. But
When your hair's on fire, it's gotta settle in, man.
it's just like I said. Right now, everyone's just got crazy budgeting work, so I spend a lot of time on that upfront. Like my job role now is more business development, and I do the upfront budgeting and work with estimating to make sure jobs get estimated as accurately as possible. And then once we contract it, we turn it over to project management. So I'm doing a lot of stuff that's 6 months to a year, maybe a year and a half down the line. So and to get that to a process where you want it to go into construction, it takes a lot of effort. So keeps me pretty darn busy.
Right.
I imagine. Yeah. What's your management team look like? I know you mentioned that you have your assistant and maybe some other project managers, but are there 2 or 3 key people that you lean on that are part of that decision making process whenever you guys have issues or things that come up? Or is it just you?
Yeah, but I'm pretty open with the whole team. Like, even down to the superintendents, and I don't really like to think. I think of us as a team. I don't really like the word employee or thing like that. Like, I think it all slips out every once in a while. But I think of us really like a football team. Like, hey, we've got the wide receivers, be it the superintendents or whatever, and the project manager's back there as the quarterback throwing the ball, and they're running the routes, kind of thing. So I see us on even playing field. So if we have problems, we're real quick to just jump on a call and brainstorm on things like that and see what we need to do to fix it and get better, create a system, or how do we avoid getting into this position again. So it's across the board.
Is your dad still involved at all, or any other family?
Yeah, so my dad, he's right now he's kind of semi-retired in the sense of a lot of his work got paused, which, like I said, it was in Hawaii, all the renovation stuff. So he's kind of trying to get some things going back here. He bought a ranch, small ranch, or I guess ranch is probably not the word, but a little farm up in northern Nevada. So he's been kind of hanging out up there and messing around and trying to maybe grow a little bit of the business up in that area too. So, but yeah, he's still pretty active.
So not an official role, just kind of do whatever you need, or
he like I said, he leads all of our renovation stuff. So he's the after hours type work. And he's very specialized. His experience, so all that stuff is no permits, or I shouldn't say permits. There's no plans.
Right.
So it's all based on his experience of seeing how these are. And so he works real close with the staff when they renovate these facilities to make them better. Like, they've built a clinic 20 years ago and maybe it's not functional. Maybe it doesn't work with today. Or some of these companies have big standards of these are how you build our facilities today, like their prototypes. So he'd try to match that up with what the kind of work they're doing. So very experience based, that he brings in that knowledge and respected and liked for that. So
awesome.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Do you see yourself getting into any other verticals?
We've talked about a few different things. For me, again, I really like the healthcare. I like that focus. And so, we'd like to expand a little bit more. We did some PACE centers, and we've done some oncology work and things like that. So anything that we can that's really healthcare based, just we like that. And we have a slogan that we call it "We Build Life," and that came from one of our customers. They said that they give life was their slogan, right? And so I was like, I don't really feel like we have anything to do with that, but I feel like what we're building allows for the life to happen. Yeah. So we took that and just said we build life, and so it kind of fits with the healthcare stuff. I mean, I think it matters even if I was going to build some coffee shop for a mom and pop type deal, that's their life too. Right. So it's all faceted, but we really like the healthcare stuff. So expanding that would be ideal for us, I think.
I got to imagine some of the things you have to go through from a standards and a sanitation and everything else in a healthcare facilities just got to be.
Yeah, it's specialized, and I grew up in it. So to me, it's second nature. So when I brought people in from outside that haven't, hired them for this role and they've never done it before, and they're confused, I'm like, what's so hard, Yeah. But it's all I've ever known.
Right.
And I think, vice versa, if that's all you've ever known and I'm stepping into it new, I'm going to kind of be deer in the headlights too. So, but it is specialized and it is kind of got its niche reasons.
My uncle builds big ass hotels out in Miami in Southern Florida, and works for one of the huge contractors out there. And he's the general, watching the whole thing go up. But I mean, I'm talking 20-story hotels, big, massive ones. And some of the, just in the HVAC or the pressurization of some of these surgical rooms and all the other crap and the electrical and the LED.
Yeah, it's not your normal construction.
It's some pretty intense stuff. Which obviously, I mean, you guys aren't doing that big stuff, but I mean, it's still got to be the same kind of stuff, but just on a smaller scale, right?
Right, and that's why we're favored, and on preferred lists and things like that, because we have the experience to see kind of, I'm not going to say I'm an engineer by any means like that,
right.
but we can look at some things and kind of tell, hey, this isn't right or whatever. And so where the guys that are not experienced in healthcare get themselves into trouble real fast.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not something you want to get wrong.
Yeah. So, if they want to go with that guy, there's two things, there's price and there's value. And we really try to build off the value of what we bring with our experience. And the price doesn't matter to me as much. It's going to be what it's going to be. So,
right.
If you're going to look for the lowest price in healthcare, in California especially, it's gonna bite you, unfortunately. And I've seen it happen, and then they call us. And
I was gonna say, have you ever resulted in any projects based off of something like that?
Absolutely. We had one. I think I've heard some crazy stories where the guy forgot the whole HVAC system, or he forgot the concrete slab, or something crazy, And you're like, okay, yeah, we had that.
No, that was in our bid.
Yeah. So I mean, that happens. It's part of the gig.
Yeah. Are there any, what I want to say, regulations in California that you have to work around versus other states?
It's California, of course.
Yeah, well, I guess I shouldn't have said, are there any?
How many are there?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody can count that, but and that's why anybody who's outside of California that looks at what we build, that's project managing, they tend to scratch their head unless they've been involved with California projects, because they don't understand the amount of regulations that we're building to with the fire codes and the ratings of the buildings and air conditioning and all this stuff. So we have what's called OSHPD in California. It's pretty intense, and your hospitals are level 1 and then it tiers down. The surgery centers, outpatient stuff, that's OSHPD 3. We're kind of, I wouldn't say experts. I don't like to say the word expert because nobody's seen everything, right?
Right.
But our specialty,
very well experienced.
Our experience level is very vast in the OSHPD 3 world. It's just kind of the niche we play in right now. So it's difficult if you've never done it. It is
I'm sure,
eye-opening, and you might think, oh, that's no big deal. And it turns out it's a big deal.
It is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Very cool. Well, in your experience, I got to imagine being around for quite a bit, any crazy, interesting stories that have resulted of being on the job at any point in time, anything that comes to mind?
I was trying to think about that on the way.
Active surgeries you were walking in on?
No, but I had this. So you've seen like world's craziest videos or whatever, and you just see these stupid things that happen. You're like, that'll never happen to me. And I woke up to an email one morning. We were building a ground up project in Inglewood, California, and I see this semi-tractor trailer on the camera back up and just ram a vehicle. And this is right in front of the job site, and it was a delivery truck of some sort, and he had a mile behind him. He could have just easily backed up, but barely backed up, and then just drove into the parked car in front of him. And it looked every bit of what you've seen on crazy. Yeah. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is not happening on my job, right? Like, and sure enough, it was like one of the electrical contractors, vendors or something was delivering. And I just don't understand how this guy, I mean, it's like 6 a.m. and that's what I woke up to. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like this, I can't share this with anybody. Like, I was afraid to tell my owners like what happened, and it never it transpired, fortunately, to anything. Like I don't know. I guess they dealt with it internally with themselves, but that was one of the craziest moments that I just didn't think that could ever happen.
Never really foresaw that coming on a job site.
I don't know why that stands out in my mind, but it was crazy.
Well, there was something. What was it? There was a city just recently, the last couple of days. I was watching a video clip. Same type of thing. Some guy on an 18-wheeler and trying to go around like some downtown city and just was making turns, just plowing through cars because he had no other way. And like it got to the point where it was like, well, this is life now. Like we're stuck. Like I got nowhere else to go, and he just started like tearing up cars.
Oh, dude!
But and you just don't think you'll run into stuff like that. So
and until you see it in the morning, when you wake up, you're like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. There's all sorts of weird stuff. Like I remember when I was a kid I was on a job site with my dad, and it was pretty far out there, kind of not in the sticks, but I went to the porta potty, and I'd seen this guy sitting off on the across the parking lot, like on this wall, and I was pretty young, so kind of looked up, did see him, and I'm like, all right. So I walk out, and I'm walking into the back of the job, and the guy's walking out like a skill saw or something like that, and like just walks right into me, and I'm young and naive, so he's just like, like realize he's caught, and he's like, is the boss here? Like I was looking for a job or something like that. And I did not realize what was happening. And I'm like, oh yeah, let me get my dad. Like, and so I remember, and then he gives him some like BS line and off the guy went. And I don't know, one thing later they figured out that he was trying to walk off with the skill saw. And it's just like, dude, the thievery that you can experience on a construction site is
I'm sure
unfortunate and sometimes laughable.
I have a buddy that's a GC. They do work on usually high-end auto dealerships and stuff like that. Especially when COVID hit, I said, "What's your biggest thing?" He was doing a lot of work all of a sudden, right? Because all the auto dealerships are closed down, and so they picked up production at that point. But he goes, the number one thing I had to start hiring out was 24/7 security at all these places because people were coming out on the job site in the middle of the night just stealing stuff, John Deere tractors, trailer, anything. Tools. But yeah, I mean, you're right. The thievery in terms of what's out there is pretty incredible. People
and it's
get away with
weird.
A lot.
Like you go from city to city, and you get in some of these cities, you're like, this probably won't go well, and it goes great.
Yeah.
Then you're in a decent city, and then it's not
suburban
great.
area. All of a sudden,
everything's
It's so hit and miss. I mean, we had a job. We just started, or we finished this last year, I think. We had a demo building first, and then we're gonna build a ground up. And the day one, we knew there were some homeless people there. We had 13 homeless people we had to evict from the building to get even started. And then at the same time, we were starting another one, actually, and we were doing the same thing. And the homeless guy, we're like, hey, look, you need to move.
We're going to knock this building down. You probably don't want to be in it.
You should get out. And to back up, even the owner had given me, hey, here's the homeless guy's cell phone number. Before you get started, you need to let him know. Like I'm like, oh, that's really nice of you. You're letting him stay in your building.
That's so weird.
And so we tell him we're going to demo this. Like you need to get out, like for your safety, right? And he kept like running around the back and going back inside the building. And we're like, dude, like tractors are literally driving through here in 5 minutes. And we're like, we really need you to be safe. And to that point, we did not have security on that job, but he lived in the back of the site and he kept the other homeless people away from the project. Like he was kind of like the guy in the neighborhood. And kind of kept things orderly, It's kind of a trip. So
the tribal leader.
Did you build a little house back there?
And like I said, I mean, security. It's like it's so weird how some places it's okay and some.
Well, this being California, this is just random question. I don't know how this would work. Do you guys have to officially evict him? Like you had to get the paperwork in because.
I don't want. In today's crazy world, like we called the cops to start the job and said, hey, we know there's a lot of. Homeless people here, and so they showed up, and I think they arrested a couple of them because they probably had some records or something like that, and the rest of them they kicked out. And, but it's again, we're literally going to doze a building. Like, please clear this building and let us know it's safe. Like,
you don't want to be in
here. And of course, when that happens, usually the neighbors are concerned because whether it's drugs or whatever's going on in there, like it's a safety thing too. So, but it's always a good thing to get rid of that stuff, but. Yeah. So
any
interesting.
What are some of your flagship, like, hey, I'm real proud of, like, or get to drive by? Because that's the one thing cool about construction, right? It's like,
I did that.
Yeah, you get to, like, drive by, show friends, family, think like,
Sure.
these are the things that I built or I did. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember my dad doing that as a kid and even to this day. And so, I get to do that with my kids now. So it's kind of cool. I was flying in, I was back east just last month or something. And when I fly into LAX, I can see one of the buildings we built there in Inglewood. And like, that's pretty cool to look at that and just, get in a sea of other buildings. You're like, that's one's mine. Like, so that one's kind of cool. So get to see that a lot. And then just, I don't know, they're randomly everywhere. I'm super proud of what our expansion, just again, going from that, thinking back to that 2008, that first project we did in San Bernardino. And that wasn't even like, again, that's not the start of the company. My dad built a 24,000 square foot ground up that he designed, build, entitled to the city, up near the hospital in San Dimas. And, that one's a really cool flagship for our experience. And the building to this day still looks great. And, he's got his markers, but, I've been able to put my stamp on it. And then my ambition to grow the company now to just be proud that, hey, we're building stuff in Hawaii. I mean, we had a customer call us and say, hey, we're in a jam. Can you help us out with something in Guam? So we sent some stuff over to Guam. And,
That's cool.
It's like just stuff you just wouldn't think that's happening, So like, they're just like little notches in the belt that you're like, that's pretty cool.
Well, things that you can like look back on and go like that. These are milestones, right? Like this created this relationship that did this, and now we're here. Yeah.
No, one of my customers that were doing multi-million-dollar worth started with a $13,000 office renovation thing that hey, split this room, build an office out of it,
You're like, I don't know.
Okay, that's small,
I don't
whatever.
really got time for that.
And then next thing you know, it led to this, and then that company, when we were working there, got acquired by another company, and then, oh, hey, you do that? Great. And, it's off to the races.
That's
but
awesome.
The stuff we work in is pretty small industry. So, you kind of get to know the players over the years. And then, of course, they leave this company, they go over there. And so we're fortunate to kind of get dragged along. So, and I think I don't care what it is, retail, whatever industry you're in, I'm sure that happens.
Yeah, the networking is huge.
But, we've got a pretty good name in the industry for so long. And so, I work hard to keep that going.
What islands are you guys on in Hawaii?
Currently, we're on Oahu and then looking at some other things on the other islands. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Honolulu.
Yeah. So we finished one already, started the second one, and then there's a few other things going on. So it's super competitive over there. Not like from our side, but like from our customer standpoint of how they grow their businesses too. So it's
So what drew you
secret.
guys to Hawaii? Was it just some of your clients were branching out there, or was there projects? Was it your dad that was like, hey, let's make the move over there? What was that shift?
So we've actually been looking at doing stuff over there for 3 or 4 years, and it stemmed from my dad's renovation side of, it was a very large facility over there. And what he does is very specialized. It's we don't shut facilities down. We essentially go in and operate on them at night and on the weekends. Like they run 6 days a week, these places. So we get from Saturday night to Sunday night, and then they are operating back in their facility at like 1 a.m, getting it prepped. So we get a very small window to fully renovate floors and ceilings and all that stuff. Just 25 people in a weekend. So that started with one of those projects over there, and then their growth grew, and then the new construction projects came up, and we're on a list of preferred general contractors, and so they pretty much just hand the work out based off the workload of everybody, and we're on the team as soon as they know about a project. So a couple of new things came up over there, and all of a sudden we're doing that. On top of all that, one thing that kind of pushed us there is my brother used to live there. And so it was kind of one of those things where we were like, oh, cool, we'll work in Hawaii, and it's an easy way to go get a trip over there and then go see the family and whatnot. Yeah. And then he just moved back this year. So I'm like, shoot, now I got all this work, and I got
no secondary reason to go out there. Yeah.
So we're like, all right, cool. But on top of that, it's a different challenge. It's, the people are great. That we've been very fortunate to find really good subs over there, and but it's just a different challenge. Obviously, the way they build, and I think that's material no matter where you are. Else, the cost. I mean, shipping, all that stuff. I mean, the cost alone is it's crazy, but so all that stuff is just something different than what I'm used to seeing right in my backyard. So it's cool.
What's the future look like for you guys? What's the roadmap? Where you headed?
So I'm not I used to be that guy. Oh, I want to be $100 million contractor. All this stuff. Like, I had these big, like, kind of set goals. And anymore now, I'm like, it's all about the team. We build the right team and we bring on the right players. Like I think we'll figure out where we're going from there. You know, we just keep steadily growing.
So you're happy to grow if it makes sense and you've got the...
Yeah, I mean, for me right now, the big thing is I want to continue this development stuff that we're doing. We've got one project it's real close to getting into CDs and through the entitlement process with the city. So like that's real exciting. So I'd like to be a decent sized developer as well as the construction. But all that stuff is a factor of, like I say, is just if I bring in a person who is like the guru of grocery stores and he wants to run with it and he's capable of it, like then maybe we'll do some grocery store work. But I'm not going to go pursue that, right? I've got enough. I'm at my capacity trying to just service what we've got going on and lead that. So again, it's right people, right places, and we figure out where the bus is going. It's a good to great quote. And so I've just kind of took that, and of course I put the milestones. You know, this year I was hoping we're going to do 30 million, 30 years in business. I just seemed like a good number. And if we hit
a lot of thought process behind that one, right?
And we do 29 million. Oh, okay, whatever. It's cool. But all that obviously has markers of profitability and margins and are we successful. I don't need to go do 100 million, but they have the headaches to do less margin.
You're going to make 2% on 100 million.
I mean, and a lot of guys do that. And it's like, okay, that's fine for you. Like, I'd rather keep it at a thing that makes sense and then, like I said, grow the development. And then I'm kind of entrepreneurial, so anything else I can kind of get into, I'm good with that.
Comes up. Yeah. Very cool, man.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for coming in. Before we let you go, we want to give you an opportunity to let the people know where to find you.
Sure.
Your social media or the LinkedIn you check in all the time or the websites. Or...
Yeah, I'm really active on LinkedIn. I do like LinkedIn. I just don't. I need to do it more.
You're a business owner.
Yeah. Well, I think I think for anybody, it's great because you put content out there and there's so many it's not just random people. Like for the most part, you can friend your networking, with people. So like, it's cool. But you can check us out on const.com is our website, which is currently being revamped as well. It's another thing you got to keep up on that. No one. I think that's like when you say, "Hey, check out my website." You have to say, "Oh, but it's 5 years old." So, and then we do a little bit of social media stuff like Golden Construction Inc. or something like that. It's our Instagram and LinkedIn, Jason Coleman. So
very cool. We'll link all that stuff for you in our description for sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jason. Thanks for coming today. We appreciate having you and you coming down and making the trek from HB to South County. So appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Stay safe out there and stay in touch.
Will do.
Cool. Hey, thanks for listening. And if you've made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like us.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And check out our website for more video content and extras.
While you're there, shoot us a message if you want to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.